Hello, everyone. My name is Maz Imam. I'm the product manager for Snowpark Container Services. Welcome to the session, Customized AI with Snowpark Container Services. A lot of exciting stuff. I don't have my clicker working, so I'm going to be standing behind often to kind of fast forward the slides. I have with me one of our principal data scientists, Stella Yang, who's going to join me to show a really cool demo and talk about what we have built. So she's going to join me in a stage in about 15 minutes. So let's get started. So I'm assuming, since you guys have joined me in this customized AI session, you already have tried AI on your own, right? Generative AI. You have tried to write your poem. You've tried to write some kind of a summary on ChatGPT. And you understand how big of an opportunity AI is, right? It could potentially revolutionize every part of our life going in future. This session, we're going to talk about how to build a real enterprise AI and how we built it inside of Snowflake. So that's going to be the focus, less focus on writing poems or jokes from AI. So very real use case that we used in Snowflake using Snowpark Container Services. So we basically wanted to give you a quick sneak peek. We at Snowflake wanted to build a sales assistant. Now, sales is the biggest part of our team in Snowflake, right? And increasing sales productivity is really important. So we wanted to build a sales assistant that gives them tools, for example, meeting notes, insight into customers, competitive insights, basically prepping them up before they go on a meeting and giving them all the tools using the power of generative AI. Now, the key takeaway from our experiment and this session is we had to use, and we have to use Snowpark Container Services as the customization layer for building this AI application, a real world. You need a lot more than model gardens and vector database and all the other capabilities you have. But to put it all together, you need a place to do these advanced customization, and that place is Snowpark Container Services. Okay, so there are 3 goals for this session. If we get through these 3 goals, we're successful. Number 1, help you understand what is Snowpark Container Services and how it works. Secondly, showcase you why in our case, in Snowflake's case, building a sales assistant was such an important problem to solve with Gen AI. And lastly, we both, Stella and I, want to leave you guys with some ideas on what you can do to build similar application in your own domain. So what is Snowpark Services? We announced private preview last year. We're announcing GA this year. Before we get into that question, we all understand that data is what fuels AI. You have heard this so much that you probably are sick of hearing it, but it is very true, right? AI is nothing without data. It's basically making decisions on data. And we often have this question in the industry where should we bring the AI to the data or bring data to the AI application? And I think the industry now, and we through our experiment, is coming towards the decision that bringing AI to the data is much more beneficial, is much more easier than bringing data to the AI. And we're going to talk about why. So with this context, if you look at Snowflake's landscape from a product perspective, on your left-hand side, we have these managed services that we are providing. Super easy to use, great to get started, great to even build full applications on the Cortex side, right? But on the right side, we had this realization from early on that that's not going to be enough. The world moves fast. You often need custom components, custom models, and more place to kind of put things together, right? Do data processing, put a front-end layer of your choice, or do anything that, that doesn't come out of the box. And that layer effectively is Snowpark Container Services for Snowflake. So basically, what is Snowpark Container Services? It's very simple, right? We're providing you the ability to run any code of your choice, any programming language, anything you want, right next to your data without having to worry about infrastructure. You don't have to think about Kubernetes, Docker, what is container. Like all of that, we're trying to abstract away. And we are putting it right next to your data, right? Whether it's Snowflake native or Iceberg, you have direct access. And you have on-demand access to CPU or GPU. You don't have to stay in line to get access to GPU. You can get it instantly for an hour, do an experiment, and let it go. So that is Snowpark Container Services. Run anything, any code, any processing right next to your data in a very secure way without having to worry about infrastructure. Now, you probably are saying, well, there are many container platforms out there, right? And I used to work for Azure Kubernetes Service. I have been into this container space for a long time, right? So why do you need to build another container platform? And here are the couple of key tenets, basically, that differentiates us from other container platforms. And we have been very thoughtful in building this. The first one is, in Snowflake, everything is about simplicity. So we already have made quite simple our interface in building containers and running them. And you're going to see us moving further and further into this area where everything should be as simple that you don't have to think about how to write a Docker file, how to run, what is happening in the Kubernetes layer, what is happening on the OS layer. You don't have to think about it. Secondly, generally, the container platforms are built for all sorts of purposes. They're general purpose, right? The one we're building, because we're building inside of a data cloud, we're very focused on building it for a huge amount of data. So you would start seeing this effect in every aspect of the product. Scaling operations, scaling up, scaling down, bringing it up. We know you're going to bring hundreds of millions of rows to process. You're going to bring thousands of unstructured data here to do either processing or build an app around. The third one is actually the hardest part. So I'm part of the product team. And one of the things we spend actually most of the time in a Snowflake product team, if you ask me, is how to make this one product. What it means is, when you are in part of the product, for example, Snowpark Container Services, you should feel that you're part of Snowflake. Everything extends to that product. So how you do observability in one part of Snowflake should just extend to this part. You should be connected to Streamlit. You should be connected to clean rooms. You should be connected to every part. And you should feel it's just one product. You shouldn't have to think about it. Those are different products that you have to put together. And we go to lengths in the product team to think about how to make that. And that is very differentiated in terms of container platform. So it comes with image registry. It comes with observability. Everything is built in. You don't have to go and build those things. And I'm gonna talk about this a little bit more later. And the last one is security and governance, right? That is our P0. That is the most important thing we do. We understand we're dealing with your data, so it's extremely sensitive. So when we're building a container platform, we're the only container platform who are extending your data cloud RBAC, for example, or security principles or security policies to the containers. So if somebody has access to some rows or some tables, and if the container is trying to access it, it's going to extend that RBAC to that container. So that's the other unique thing we're providing. Now, I wanted to give you an example. I talked about simplicity and all that, and to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Here is a real example of an architecture, not made up, about how, if we would have tried to build the same thing on another container platform system, how it's going to look like. You would have to set up all these components just to have even your basic application running. You need to have a pipeline to Snowflake. You need to have your compute storage. You need to have container registry. You need to have security keys. You need to have application gateway, firewall. And I'm pretty sure this is a partial list. But this is a real architecture that we tried on trying to build another container platform. And at some point, Estella was like, no, this is too much. We can't do this, right? So what we did was, we looked at a Snowpark Container Services. And what we do is, you have all of those capabilities here. But it comes down to two things. You need to have your container image, and you need to have a spec file, which is YAML. And you create a compute pool and a service. And you forget about everything else. Everything else is part of the package. You don't have to think about how networking is set up, how TLS is set up, how networking between the containers is set up. All of that is taken care of for you. Now, to drive that point a little bit further, if you look at a typical workflow on how a new application is built, especially in the AI world, you have to do this planning, architecture, environment, CI/CD, and all that. With the Snowpark Container Services, because we have simplified so much, your app architecture becomes simplified, and you gain a lot of velocity in trying to get to your solution. And in the AI world, it's all about velocity, right? And you want to be the first one to get there, and we get it. That's why Snowpark Container Services is extremely easy to use. Now, being very specific about the LLM world in AI and what Stella is going to show, in a Snowpark Container Services, you could do a lot of things. But in particular, we're seeing that it's really well suited to, one, run your custom interface, right? We provide you a lot of Streamlit chatbots and a lot of things, but for some customers, you're like, I want my own interface. So you could build it here. You could also bring an open source LLM that's not available anywhere, and you can just or a new model that came, or a model that is specific to your industry. You can easily bring it up and run it. And the last one is you could do a lot of data processing, pre-processing and post-processing right in the Snowpark Container Services. So now we've got all the fundamentals, why we built the product, how we are going to use it for this AI platform. I want to invite Stella, who is our principal data scientist, to talk more about how she built with us the sales assistant. Stella?
Okay, thank you much. Yeah, I'm Stella. I'm a principal data scientist from Snowflake. So I'll introduce about the sales assistant based on the fundamentals and how we build sales assistant on top of the Snowpark Container Service. So we know that our salespeople, they are very busy. They have many clients, and they have extensive client information they need to manage. In the meanwhile, they try to provide the best service to each of the client. To achieve that, they need to understand each of the client's goal clearly. However, this information are scattered across multiple places, on different platforms, from different support teams, and could be in different format. And to make it worse, is 90% of this data are unstructured data, which make it very hard for the salespeople to organize and make use of them. So that I built a sales assistant with the LLM-based AI tool. Hopefully, they will use it as a one-stop shop for them to grab all the key points about their client. Let's take a look at what it has. So it has a meeting recap, allow users to generate the meeting summarizations and the follow-up actions. It has a general Q&A, allow users to ask general status of the account and any obstacles of the account. It also allows users to mining on more contextual-based questions, such as asking detailed questions as, what is the client perceptions of a specific competitor? Or what are the product features the client is thinking about to use? And it also has a timeline visualizations, allow users to just maybe just a glance to check out the key point about the account and about the account progress and also about the other contributions from the sales support team. So this is a real application. But in order to serve this real application to the end user, there's going to be certain complexities to be handled beforehand. It's not just a few lines of SQL, it's going to make everything happen. So I do have certain pre-processings on Snowpark Container Service to make it functionable. So let's take some examples. So for example, our salespeople, they have meetings with clients. These meetings have very rich information. But meetings can be 1 hour meetings, 12 pages long. So there's no way for the salespeople to review everything again before walking into a meeting with client, right? And as Mas mentioned previously, right, Snowpark Container Service is an excellent tool that enables users to developers to create the Gen AI and use it for the solutions for the users. So I leveraged that as well. I'm able to use some tools on Snowpark Service to create the meeting summarizations and also the follow-up actions. You can see now it is very easy for the salespeople to see what has happened over the meeting, refresh their memory, and also grab the takeaway actions to follow up with the clients. And also, there could be other cases where sales team, they have meeting notes with the client and also other personal notes with clients. These notes are very valuable because it talks about exactly what would be the next step to take to close a deal with a timeline, right? However, these nodes can be also in very freestyle. It could have year, month, date, and it could have just a month and date without year. And it also have the times that some activities is happen across multiple years. And there could be also in the cases where some days is mentioned in a real activity days. So it is very hard for any tool to parse it out. So if you think, if I just feed this raw information, then the end user, the salesperson, they will have no awareness. And that will reduce model accuracy, especially when the users would ask some questions that will require the sequential logic at the back end. Because the model itself will not know when this activity will happen, which year, 2 years ago or very recently, right? So garbage in will result garbage out. Luckily, on Snowpark Container Service, there are many open source models. So I'm able to find the right one to pre-process that. You can see with a little bit instructions and also additional information to make the model, to make the inferences, I'm able to complete the data and make you can see here, all the year, month, date, they are completed. And the origin interactions could be cited. And also it could create a short tag about what is going on. So now we can make the data complete and much cleaner. Then being equipped with this data pre-processing on Snowpark Container Service, we are in a more flexible position in creating the things such as the general questions, like enable users to ask, what are obstacles or concerns I should know about this account? Or enable users to ask more contextual-based detailed questions, such as, what are the product features the competitor is thinking about to use? And in this case, it's the client is thinking about to use large language models and fine-tune the large language models on their open source models based on their data, company's private data. So I think this is exactly a case that they can leverage Snowpark Container Service to use. Yeah, but back to the topic. It also allows users to get visualizations, to glance on the timelines, zoom in and zoom out, to observe all the activities has been happened, and also with a click to see a little bit detail on what has happened. So now let's back to the more technical side on the architecture and the data flow. So to begin with, so this model we built on Snowflake, and everything is entirely on Snowflake. Data never leaves Snowflake. So it's very secure. Everything is secured inside Snowflake. And the previous steps that has mentioned, pre-processing, will require GPU to process those large language models, right? So they all require GPU for making the inferences. So therefore, the Snowpark Container Service become a natural fit for us to use here. So to create a service, it's not very hard, only need 4 steps here. The first step is to create a compute pool. And then the second step is to use a Hugging Face to find a model that will fit. And then the third step is to create a Docker image, upload the Docker image to our repository. And then the fourth step is with a few lines of SQL, you can create a container service. And then with the same flow, you can create a container service, separate containers for data summarizations, for data extractions, and arrangement, and etc. So instead of just dumping all the raw meeting transcript, we are able to summarize the data. And instead of just appending all the freestyle nodes, we are able to extract the data. And we have other processes as well. So when these containers are all finished, we are able to have the airflow to schedule regular jobs to pre-process every large load of the data. And then I use Streamlit as the end layer to serve my AI applications, also on Snowpark Container Service. So here we can see from the left-hand side, I'm using Snowpark Container Service to make all the unstructured data to be meaningful. And on the right-hand side, I'm using Cortex as the layer that to do a direct front-end integration to make users to access to the application and ask general Q&A questions, etc. So actually, these are all on Snowflake, and just because of that, it makes my job much easier. Because if I got to leave Snowflake and I need to use some traditional platforms, then I'm going to get more challenge. Just for example, just for the GPU, it will take me 6 to 9 months to just procure the GPU. While on Snowflake, it's fully on demand. I can just use a few lines of SQL to get access to the GPU, which I'm going to show in the demo later on. And also, Snowflake provides the unified architecture, which is much easier. So I do not need to worry about the component orchestrations or the very steep learning curve about Kubernetes. And I do not need to worry about data movement inside or outside, or any latency or cost headaches. And I have no worry about the data security issues or the governances, such as the network or firewalls. Those terms I'm not so familiar with as a data scientist, because everything has been super secured within Snowflake. And the last but not least is this Snowpark service offers the instance elasticity, which means when I'm serving the application to the user and the user demand is higher, it will automatically to increase the node of the compute pool so it can serve to many more users in the same time and instantly. Luckily, I'm in the world that I'm able to use Snowflake, so I'm able to be able to focus on my data science job and building the application logic. So, such as focus on the data flow stuffs, right? So this is a real application. So I would say when we are building a real application and serve to the large user base, I would not expect that one AI model is able to handle everything from the beginning to the end, because that will be too complex to achieve. For one, it will have the user to wait for so long to get an answer. And the second is it will introduce hallucination. So I would say it's better to break down the things to smaller pieces and more manageable pieces whenever possible. So for the sales assistant case, what I'm having is I start with everything from the left-hand side, which I have all the raw data and unstructured data. And then I use Snowpark Container Service to pre-process them. So for the meeting summary, around meetings, I use Vicuna model, which is another open source model fine-tuned based on Llama model, but allow the large token windows to pre-process that to get the meeting summarizations. And for the very freestyle sales notes, I'm using Zephyr model, which is another small model, but strong at text pre-processing to extract the key points. And for the other flows, I'm also doing some similar works of the pre-processing. And after that, I'm able to complete my data and get all of my structured data available and save it back to the Snowflake database. I get the meeting summarizations, I get all the structured data about the nodes, when it happened, what it's about, and a short tag on that. And also for other cases where users will think that some meeting details could be more useful to them than just the high-level meeting summarizations. So I have a separate flow deal with that via the RAG. I'm going to talk about RAG in the next slides in more details. But basically here is using the embedding and vector DB search to make the contextual-based Q&A possible. Now that we get all of the complete and structured data, I would say I'm in a much more easier position to build the rest of things. For example, I can easily make visualizations now on top of this structured data. We know that all of the visualizations will require the structured data at the very end point and backend, right? And also with all of this structured data, it's very easy for me to build the very end Q&A layers by just combining all of this structured data and feeding that to the cortex. So that's how we make use of the general information. And also, let's get to the RAG piece. So what happens with RAG is it helped me to make use of the detailed information about the meetings. So I have meeting transcripts, they are long, and one client can have multiple meetings. So in this case, there will be no way for just thinking about to find any model to feed those information to a text window. So I got to use Snowpark Container Service to pre-process these stuffs, to first chunking them to smaller pieces via the long chain, and then embed them and then save it to the vector database. And then when a user has questions coming in, the sales assistant will take the question and embed it in the same algorithm, so it becomes an apple-to-apple comparison. It can be searched against our vector DB. And then the vector DB will be able to make a rank and get me the most relevant chunks of the context. With a little bit of modifications, I'm able to feed those chunks to a prompt template, and then feed that to a large language model. Then when the model will going to process, and when it's finished processing, it's going to feed the answers, and I'm going to serve the answer back to the end user. It's basically the flow, how we can make use of the detailed informations. And also, in the previous slides, you shared how we can make use of the general informations. So I would say both of these type of informations, they are important to our sales org, and our salespeople, they care about that. Now we make it available and accessible to them. Hopefully, that have increased their efficiency in managing clients and enhanced their decision making. Now, without too much wait, let's get into the demonstration piece. I know everyone is just waiting for the demonstration part. I'm going to show the demonstration in two pieces. Let me check about this. My mouse is working. OK, now works. I'll just use a touchpad. So two pieces. The first piece is about how I create a container service, with showing some code and I'm running. And then the second piece about the AI assistant. So what is happening here is there are 3 steps for me to create the container service. You can see this is my schema, and it's my stage, and there's a spec stage. I'm going to get back to that. So the first step is to create a compute pool. As I mentioned, it's very easy for us to access the GPU. You only need these few lines I highlighted. I'm not sure if everyone can see the highlight is a little bit light in the shade showing in the projector. But you only need line 9 to line 16 to get the GPU access. And the only thing you want to pay attention is, in this case, I'm using the GPU M family, which consists of 4 GPU A10G. And then I already created the compute pool. I'm not going to recreate in this demonstration, but it's just running the same code. And then the second step will be create a Docker image and upload the Docker image to my repository. Here, the repository I have is the serve repo. And you can see there's a repository link. This is where I'm uploading the image. And then I already created the image because it will take a while to create the Docker and upload the Docker. But I can also show about what is happening here, because it's not really hard to create a Docker image, very short file. I have the lines here. So the first line is about including the PyTorch, because I still have a model to serve, so I included PyTorch here. And then I include the requirement files, and then I get all the Python package installed. And then what I'm doing is, since I still have an application to serve, so I'm going to copy over all of my source code here to run the application at the backend. And then the last step, but not least, is I expose the port number so that later on the Streamlit application could be accessible. Now, we create a Docker image, we upload that. Then what we are doing is we create the container service. This is the most important step, but still not hard. So I'm going to use the previous compute pool that I just showing in the first step, which is a GPU M. And what I'm doing is I'm accessing a definition of the container I want to create. So this is based on a YAML file. The YAML file I have already uploaded sits in my specs stage, and its name is Streamlit multi-YAML file, because I have multiple page here. So I can also share about a little bit on how this YAML file look like. So this is the definition of the container. So this is the image I previously created, Docker image I previously created, and the link I showed that I've uploaded to this place. And then the next step is to, I only want you to pay attention is here. This is a place, exciting place that I'm requesting the GPU resources here. So what I'm seeing, you can see these lines are all very readable. So what I'm seeing here is I'm requesting 1 GPU, which means I'm requesting 1 GPU per instance here. Because the model I'm going to serve is not really large, so 1 GPU is going to be enough. And I have some environment variables. You can set similar things for yourself. And also the endpoints that I already exposed the port number. And also I have the volumes so that things can be mounted to the volumes. In case I have any objects that need to be saved, it can be accessible here. So with all of these 3 steps, the Snowpark Container Service will be ready. Let's take a look at the status. It says it's ready. Now let's check about the URL. It gives me an ingress URL, so not everyone is able to log in even with this URL. They will need a login account to access that. Let's try to get into this, copy paste and get into this. Because I've just logged in this morning, so it will not ask me for another login again. But if any other users, they will need the access to login. So everything is secured. No random people can get in. So a little bit disclaimer for this summit is for the demonstration purpose, I replaced all the account names and the competitor names with animal names. And additionally, I have just a POC of the names and also the key numbers. But still, this demonstration is based on the real case. Now let me play a role. Let's say I'm a new salesperson joining the team. And my manager tells me that to take over a few accounts from my previous colleague. Now I need to prepare a meeting with these clients. So this is the first time I'm logging into the sales assistant. Let's see what is happening. Okay, it gives me a few accounts. This is based on my role access control, all provided the components from Snowflake. And we've seen about the examples from the alligator from the previous slides previously. Now let's take a look at a flamingo. In the flamingo case, let me see if it's, okay, looks it's large enough. For the flamingo part, I can see here it looks, we have previously have 5 meetings with flamingo already. And these meetings are from the previous owners. Look, they have what is pulled from the calendar of previous owners' calendar, or the meeting titles with Snowflake Think, follow-ups, app sync. I'm a new person. Oh, I see there's more useful information here, actually. I can see what they have talked about. Their talk has been focused on data sharing and long-term solutions and data integrations and ERP integrations. Okay, nice. I get more sense of what has happening. Let me check a box here. Boom. Oh, I'm seeing more information. Now I can see who have participant in the meeting. I can see Richard from Flamingo participants and also John from Flamingo participants, and they all talk about something about data sharing and also some long-term solution stuffs. Okay, and also let me check what else. It also tells me about the actions that has been committed from both the Snowflake side and also some commitment of the actionable items from the client side. Oh, I think this is very useful information because I'm new here. So this helped me to know who I'm going to talk with and also knowing the client intentions even before I'm really talking to the client. It's very helpful for me. I think I'm going to click on more stuffs and to get familiar with some other meetings what they talked about. And also, since I'm a new person, I would also want to ask about, okay, give me a deal summary of this account. So in case that now the large language model is running, it's trying to give me an answer. So I want to ask these questions just in case I do not miss anything from the previous meeting summarizations, the recap stuffs, and there's more stuff that's coming over. Let me see what it provides me here. Oh, it gives me the answers now. Looks, what it's saying is, okay, Flamingo, okay, Flamingo had the cap 1 deals previously since 2022, and their cap line is talk about 75K. They will focus on the BI and also talk about Filetrain and Looker infrastructures. This is their initial expectations. And then after that, there have been some renewed deals also happened on 2024, and they also talk about more about secured data lake and also the other stuffs. Okay, I see, and this also talk about some other things besides the deal. I think they mentioned about the potential partnerships, data sharing, proof of concept object. Okay, fine. Yeah, and I think there's one more thing. Someone mentioned to me about this flamingo. They mentioned that flamingo is saying something about octopus. Octopus is something our data competitor, they are offering something, but I do not know what they offered. I think it's really hard for me to just reach out to the previous owner about that. I wish there could be a tool to help me with that. Oh, right. There is a contextual-based competitor question part. It's also I can try to make use of. And it also have already listed me all the potential competitive relations of the possible competitors. Octopus is one of them listed here. And what I'm seeing is, give me some answers of details of Octopus. Let me see what it has. It says, Octopus is a competitor to Snowflake. Okay, what they're saying is not a rumor. And they are competing on the ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System. Okay, and what happened is, what I'm saying is Octopus, they're saying Octopus has a standard way of connecting to the ERP system, which they points to the ideas of creating some standard way of ingesting data from Workday, another ERP system, to Snowflake as well. In this case, I was wondering, what is Snowflake's solution on this ERP system for the client? I'm a new person. I'm nervous. Sounds like there's some competitive relationships, and I do not know if we already have a solution or not, or what could be the solution. So if we do not have a solution, I probably is going to reach out to the product team to give feedbacks. If we have a solution, then I'd also want to learn what will be the solution so that I can be better prepare myself with a knowledge point when talking to the client. Give me something, hopefully it's helpful. Let me go through that and see. What it's saying is, okay, Snowflake does have a solution. The solution of the ERP system is involved with creating a native applications framework and essentially a connector. And based on this way, the users can have a predefined schema so that they can load the information to the ERP system, such as Workday. Oh, Workday, that was a thing they will talk about over the meeting. Now we have a solution. Cool, I'm more feel released. The model is running and give me the solution. And also what it's saying is it will have some benefit of eliminate the API calls. And so everything can be updated automatically. Very cool. I'm very happy with this answer. It gives me all the details, and also give me the citation dates of what dates is happening. So I know it's not just the model is not making up anything through the hallucination. It's based on the real information. I feel I like this tool, and I'm almost good to go to talk to the client. Just before that, probably the only thing I need to do is to look into more knowledge base on what is the native applications and the connectors technical side, because I'm a new person. I still need to learn a lot of things. But besides that, I'm all good to go to talk to the client and maybe check a little bit on the timelines about if anything I'm missing, and zoom in and zoom out and click to see a little bit more details. So this is a demonstration of the sales assistant. You can see through here, the salesperson, she's able to get everything she needs from the Snowpark, from the sales assistant tool. And also beside that is the salesperson can not only just use that to prepare meetings with client. They can always also use these tools to just pull some detailed information that may be missing during the meeting with the client, right? Everyone forget about things. It can pull the details in the real time. So this is the power of Snowpark, Sales Assistant and the Gen AI we want to bring to our sales users. And actually, before leaving this demonstration, I also want to show what will be the next step that I'm experimenting. And we know that Snowpark Container Service is always a place that allows people to get cool open source models being used. And if you have any training models, you can always think about to bake it in and use it as canvas to build our own stuff. Here, in my experiment, what I want to show is I create a quick window that allows users to quickly generate images to express their thoughts with the client by just typing in some prompts or select some prompts. For my case, what I want to show is I want to show the power of sales assistant. Before assistant, the people, they have to reading a lot of client profiles and pulling hairs, reading crazy. And after I got clicked submit. And then after having the sales assistant, I hope they can make their life easier by just referring to the laptop. You can see this person reading really crazy to get their information. And then after that, I hope the things is much easier for the person to just rely on the laptop and Streamlit to, okay, even with a happy face, yeah, to get the stuff, yeah. So this thing is just a quick demo. I'm creating an experiment at Starface, so, but you can see how convenient it is to help with people. I just use less than 100 lines of code to make it happen. And I just want to use it as a show of the power of Snowpark Container Service. So you can see the power of Snowpark Service will be not limited with this text-to-image stuff or this sales assistant. There's many more things Snowpark Service can provide. I would invite Mars back to the stage to share his thoughts of how does he feel about the stuff and the super customization layer of Snowpark Container Service.
Yeah, thanks, Stella. That was super cool. I can use this actually tool right now to start creating my presentations. Imagine if I want to go to a customer and show them how cool Streamlit is, I can just like grab these pictures and start showing. That would be awesome. Thank you, Stella. So what Stella showed here is basically the multimodal world, right? You have multiple models. One model is not good enough for everything. So you are using different models, and new models are coming. And believe me, Stella went through, and our team went through each one of these models to understand which one is the best one for that use case. So it was not like we were trying to do this. We were trying to build the best sales assistant. And we ended up with these models, different models, and chunking it up this way. And we imagine that the world's going to continue to move on, and Snowpark Container Services is a great place for you guys to run this multi-model world, whether it's text, computer vision, voice, new models are going to come, and you will need a place to run it right next to your data. OK, so coming back to our goals, we wanted you to help understand how Snowpark Container Services works. Hopefully that's clear. Showcase why it was necessary to build a sales assistant. Imagine salespeople using this. We have like more than 2,000 sales folks. If they start saving 5 minutes or an hour, imagine the productivity boost on the bottom line and the top line for the company, right? And then that's why we built it, and we're going to start using it very soon with our sales folks. And then the last one is we wanted to inspire. Hopefully that gave you a lot of ideas. Stella went through it, a lot of things. The last one is, let's go through the key takeaways. We already talked about it. If you want to get started, go ahead and build similar apps. You have the tutorial and the QR code for a short video to get you started on how to do AI with the Snowpark Container Services. Thank you, everyone.